Welcome, everyone. It is Hopeful Hearts podcast. I am one of your hosts here, Tamara Lexo, the executive director of Hopeful Hearts Ministry. I'm here with our founder, Shannon Carr, and we have another guest today. Look at us. We're like on a roll now.
I know.
We have our second week with our second guest. We have the amazing Lynn Feder here today. Lynn, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Hi. So glad to
everyone.
have you here.
I am so excited to have Lynn on with us today.
Thank you so much, Shannon.
So Shannon, why don't you get us started here and give a little introduction to Lynn and tell us how you got to know her and, all the good things about her.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I started Hopeful Hearts, we got off the ground, waited a little bit to get our 501c3. So I officially say that we started after that point, which was January 24th of 2010 or 2012, excuse me. And so I had been doing it for about a year. And during that time, I was doing Pilates at the club and at this country club that we were members of at the time. And I was doing Pilates, and Lynn was an instructor at this Pilates class. And there was another person in that Pilates class that Sandy Kelly, if I recall correctly, she goes to my parish, and, she was just talking. She kind of knew that, I had many different things going on in my life at the time. I was not yet divorced, and I hadn't yet had the cancer. I hadn't had all that yet, but there were things just brewing up, really, if you want to know the truth. And Sandy kept saying, Lynn is just amazing, and she just knows she just lifts you up, and just a positive attitude. And so as we were doing this class and kept doing this class together, Lynn kept saying all these great positive sayings, and just talking about, change begins with you, and just working on yourself, from the inside out, and just your thought processes. And what is it that you just say for me real quick, Lynn? What is it you say? We have so many thoughts in a day, and
you have 60 to 70,000 thoughts in a day, and most of them are negative. 90% of your thoughts come from the program.
Right.
And then you're expecting a different result, but you're doing the same thing over and over again. And that's why we're coming to the change,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
you're firing and wiring the same thought pattern. So the same thing's happening.
I love that. And it just hit me. And I'm not really good at, we all have our different gifts. I think I always mention, I love Tamara's ability to give me that visual that I need. And I love receiving these little quips, these little sayings, these little facts, and all of these things that really resonate within me, but I'm not really good at retaining them enough to give them back to other people. Right. But that is one of Lynn's greatest gifts, is also just, giving you these really great nuggets to help you move forward in life. And anyway, so I knew that I wanted to bring something to the nonprofit that was more than to Hopeful Hearts, that was more than just me meeting with people. Like, I know that like I said, we all have different gifts, and, mine isn't to be, I needed empowerment programs. I just didn't know what that would look like at the time. And so Lynn and I just kind of met up, and we started talking, and I think I started taking some personal yoga from her. And in working with her, I was going through, like I said, I ended up in this dark time of my marriage. That's kind of when it really all began. And just in doing these yoga classes with her, and she was very intentional, and it just brought out that emotion and allowed me to, as I talk about even in my own books, just, to get it out, get it into the light, and really work on it. And she just began healing me in many, many ways, and helping me look to God and truly trust in His plan, and to trust. Honestly, the biggest thing that Lynn did for me is to start trusting in myself, and to grab a hold of the strength that I really, really had. I was really good at helping others, really good at believing in others and helping them, but I wasn't so great at doing it for myself. And that's what Lynn brought to me. And so I had her start doing a a healing yoga class. And then as the years went on, she was doing more breathing techniques. And so Lynn started doing the breathing techniques with us, just the importance of that breath, or breath of life, right? And just how amazing it was for me. And so, if you go onto our Facebook, you'll be able to find some of those recordings that we did that she started during COVID, because we couldn't meet in person at that moment. And it's just, she's just been with us, and hopefully she'll continue to be with us. So anyway, I want to give the floor over to you, Lynn, and, share with us just some aspects of your life. If you don't mind, share a little bit about your own beginning, because I think it's so amazing. You're from Canada, eh? So always, her accent,
yes, ma'am.
Her accent comes out every now and then. Not all the time, but it really does. She'll go, eh?
Sometimes it's a twang in the same sentence.
But she's a woman of many talents, not just, healing yoga and breathing. She can cook and
you
all
humble
of
me.
that. So how did you begin in life in general?
So, you're going through life, and life is okay until it's not going okay, right? And then all of a sudden you kind of T in the road. And that's what happened to me. I was getting ready to open up my own restaurant. It was the dream of my life. I was married to the man of my life, but I always say God has a plan. And some people say the curse becomes the blessing. So all of a sudden we're in a car accident, and my husband, we go straight from the scene of the accident to the hospital. We were already helping others to help open up their restaurant while ours was being built. Mine was being built. So that was the beginning, because I wasn't just on automatic pilot, right? And that's what most of us do. We're doing it without even thinking. That's the program. So I was in the program. I was doing what I needed to do. I was working. I was overlooking the opening of the restaurant. I was taking care of my husband as a nurse, like a caregiver. And then I went to see my mom a couple of, a month later, whatever. She's like, what's wrong with your eyes? I didn't even realize I was full-blown hyperthyroid, Graves' disease. Okay. And I was wondering why I was having so much anxiety and all these panic attacks. Like, I remember trying to learn payroll, and I'm literally crawling out of my skin. And then the doctor says, yeah, well, you have Graves' disease. Yeah. But I went on an antibiotic. So that was the beginning of like what I call my awakening, because otherwise I didn't. I was just doing what you're supposed to do. Isn't that what we're told, we're taught, do this, do that, and just keep it going and suck it up. So I hadn't even grieved the loss of like really my marriage or the life that I had envisioned for me. Because like I said, I only thought I was going to own a restaurant for the rest of my life and have my kids running around my restaurant. Okay. I never knew I'd be doing what I'm doing today. And that's how I say God has a plan. So I'm at the doctor's office and I'm having a panic attack. And the doctor says to me, well, that's a side effect of your anti-anxiety medicine. So that was another real big awakening to say, okay, you know what? There's got to be a better way. So because what was happening, I was going to this doctor and that doctor and that doctor. And I'm not saying don't go to the doctors, but what was happening is they'd write me a prescription. They didn't really know what was wrong. I get all these, tests and examinations and this procedure and that procedure, but I wasn't getting any answers. And I thought, you know what? I gotta go deeper than that. I went straight to the source, and I started learning and reading and following people that were doctors and scientists, but in a holistic way, not like write the prescription way. So basically, that's what started it. And because it worked so well for me, and that's why my affirmations, I started with positive affirmations. Louise Hay is the queen of affirmations. And, I think, therefore I am, that Descartes philosopher. Well, now science has proven that that's a fact. And what was it Einstein said, like, everything is energy and match the reality to the frequency of the reality that you want. And it could be no other way. That's what you're attracting. So that philosophy is now turning into physics. It's proven that what you think you are, you are. So now if you want to make
changes. Isn't that crazy? How crazy. Like the things that were thought, like just a few years ago, it was like, oh, well, that's just That's like
Yeah.
voodoo,
Oh yeah,
shoodoo,
voodoo,
you know, and
mystical.
now it's like the more they study the brain, you know, the
Oh,
science it's starting to catch up there.
the
And
head and the
people used
heart
to,
coherence.
right. And people used to say, oh no, you can't say those things because that's against God's word. And you go, no,
Mhm.
now we're catching up and saying, no, God created our mind and body to work in such a way that like science is just now catching up. Like God is so much bigger than science. You know,
Mhm.
like
He's the
it's just
creator.
And
right.
your brain is powerful. I mean, it is, and it
Right.
is scientifically known that you're, you know, I
Yes.
call it stinking thinking. I mean, if you
Yes.
have
Yeah.
bad thoughts, you're gonna,
Yeah.
it's gonna affect you
Yeah.
even physically, you know, and
Yeah.
that's depression. I mean, depression,
Hmm.
I mean, in itself, you feel bad, you want to stay in bed, you're not going to get anything
Mhm.
done. You know, there's
And
never been a winner who's sat in bed all day. You know, you're
no.
never going to accomplish something
Yeah.
if, you know, yeah. So
Yeah.
it all begins with your thought, which is something that Lynn says all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you understand that, I mean, it sounds so simple, right? It's
Hmm.
simple. You got to change your thought. Good luck with that because we're in the program.
Hmm. Yeah.
So the brain is a memory of the past. So when you wake up in the morning and you start doing the same things and you're thinking the same thoughts and you know, and we get addicted to these stress hormones that are so negative that the body again is just in the program. You have to change the program, and the only way and time you can do that is in the now.
Hmm.
But like here's a question: how do you predict your future? You create it. It's got to be in the now. But that's
Yeah.
really freeing to know. Again, God gives you free will, but maybe some people on this planet, they don't want us to know how powerful that is when you
Yeah.
go straight to the source. And that's what I've done.
Hmm.
And, you know, thank you, God, seriously, because I go to the doctors once a year just to get the checkup, and that's it. And I was
Right.
going all the time. So, you know what? The proof's in the pudding. That's not just
Hmm.
stuff that I read and watched. And here it is. It's not enough to know it. You have to practice it. And
Yeah.
every day, you know what it is? Practice how you feel. Because the thought is the vocabulary to the brain, and the feeling that the thought created is the vocabulary to the body. And here's a good, you know, proofs in the pudding here again. Because
Hmm.
if you're nervous, okay, your heart might start racing. Did you
Yeah.
tell your heart to do that? Or if you're, you know, or you're, you know, you've got butterflies in your tummy, you're like, I didn't call on that. Here's the good
Right.
thing too, is that the body doesn't care how you feel. Okay. And
Mm.
if you're not paying attention and commanding your thoughts, the body thinks it's the mind, but it's in the unconscious mind. So what does that mean? It's a memory of the past. And everything that you've been taught to believe, guess
Hmm.
what? Maybe those outdated, maybe those belief systems are a little bit outdated now. And it's time for us to wake up and go, you know what? I'm going to be behind the wheel of my life and going again
Mhm.
straight to the source.
I
Yeah.
want
It's
to,
everywhere. We turn inward, start
Hmm.
looking outside.
right. I want
Yeah.
to say something to that.
Hmm.
You know, that, I mean, that goes into us speaking of boundaries and, you know,
Hmm.
having a lot of our thoughts, especially those of us that have gone through various types of abuses, whether it be sexual abuse,
Hmm.
neglect, um, whatever, emotional
Yeah.
abuse, you know, as
Yeah.
children, your thoughts are going to be created from that experience,
Right.
right? And I
And you
love
don't
what
want
you
to shove
said.
them down. You don't want to shove them
Right.
Yeah.
down.
Right. But I love what you said that, you know, now that we are adults, now that we come into this healing process, those thoughts are outdated.
Yeah.
Those thoughts are no longer, they no longer serve you at
Hmm.
all because that is not your truth now. That is not who
Hmm.
you are. And that's why we have to go into that healing process to know, like,
Mhm.
you know, I do like for myself, you know, I do have a right to
Mhm.
say no to that or to not agree with you and to feel comfortable not agreeing with somebody just because, you know, they have one thought and I have another, right? Or
Yeah.
that's just my own personal stuff, but
You know, I was thinking
Absolutely.
about this last night as I got a notification on my phone that my phone was going to update the, you know, iOS
The latest.
17.02 you know, whatever, while I was sleeping. It was like, this is going to automatically update. And so I opened it up just to see. I'm like, I've had so many updates in the last week. I'm like, what is this update? And it's like, well, this is going to fix the bugs from the last update that was the update that was going to fix the bugs from the big update, you know.
Right.
You know, and I thought,
one more thing.
Right, it's, you know, it's one more thing, but I thought, you know, it's interesting how, you know, our phone, like, it does all these updates, and how it gets to a point where there's certain apps that don't work anymore because of all the updates, and how our body is kind of, or in our mind, is kind of the same thing. It's like, or it should be, at least, you know, as we grow and learn and mature, there should be things that just don't work for us anymore, that we should
Like technology. Look how much we have
leave
advanced in
behind.
technology.
Yeah. But it's
But the
like we
human
still try to
behavior-
carry those things along with us. It's like, well, no, I'm still going to carry that belief system along, when really it doesn't work for us anymore. We just need to let that go and do a system update, you know. Just
Well, again, we get so full in our heads, and you can't, there's no clarity there, because you're so full. You're always full. And, you know, again, we get addicted to the feeling of complaining, and then we attract more of what we're giving power to, because you cannot see at the speed of light, but everything is vibration. We are more spirit than anything else. Our soul is just passing through. So while you're passing through, you have a body. Yes, we do. Okay. You have thoughts. Yes, we have emotions. Okay. While you're passing through on this planet, okay, you might get married or have kids and have a job or have a car. And that's while you're here. That's not why you're here. Okay. So we've become so focused on the external and what we have to do, what we need to do. And are we getting liked? Are we getting validated? Are we getting this? And we're always looking on the external instead of going on the internal. And again, straight to the source, God is within us, to seek the answers. But I believe that people have been taught that, well, you're not good enough. You're not worthy. What do you mean you deserve to be happy? What do you mean you're going to be at peace? What do you mean, you know, you're going to have a fantastic relationship or a really healthy body? That's not me. And then you start talking about these things that happened. And then guess what? It's bringing more of that stuff that happened. And then the nervous system doesn't care. It's in fight or flight. It thinks it's being chased by a lion when it's not. And if you really want to balance and have balance in your life on the planet, which is something we should all thrive or strive towards, is that you got to balance that fight or flight, the sympathetic, to the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest. And when do we do that? Whenever we got a minute, we're on the phone. Whenever we got a minute, we're doing this. Got to find the stillness. And finding stillness is where you find God. Okay. And, you know, and there's different things that you can do with things like that. You know, getting outside, doing some breathing techniques, using an affirmation, moving, you know, like you were talked about, you know, when you practice something in your brain, like that's why I like to do the hand gestures and do some simple sounds, affirmation. Guess what? You're in the moment, and everything else goes away. I mean, that gives me goosies, because I mean, that's where I'm like, oh my goodness gracious, I just feel better. Like before we got on with our podcast, I'm breathing in the left nostril, which is that cool moon. Everybody has the creative side of the brain, which is the right hemisphere of the brain. And I was breathing out the sun side, that like little bit of nervousness. You know, I've never done a podcast before. So it works. But you got to try it. You know?
Well, and that's so true that, you know, what you say.
I read this book.
You know, God says, be still and know that I'm God. He doesn't say, scroll Instagram and know that I'm God. He doesn't say veg on Netflix and know that I'm God. And there's nothing wrong with those things. You know, you can do those things, but if we're not taking time to be still and be present with God, then we're missing out on the experience of being with God and experiencing his peace in our life.
Yeah, we need to be intentional. And I love that you're even bringing it up this morning. I I was like, oh, I could rush and get in the shower. Clearly didn't wash my hair.
Yeah.
Y'all are on YouTube watching me, but I did. I was like, I need to rinse my body. But then I thought, I still also needed prayer time. And I thought, I'm going to put the two together. I took a bath instead. And I had this, this kind of script thing that I'd gotten a few weeks ago. Russ and I went on this marriage retreat, and this priest gave this to me. And it was just talking about a different way of settling yourself and praying, but a big part of it was being still and being silent. And it was saying, don't try not to have all those thousands of, Lord, I need help with this, I need help with that, I'm worried about this. I've got all these people in my mind I need to pray for. It said on there, God knows. He knows what's in your heart. He knows what's in your mind. What we all need practice with, and I'll tell you, I'm the first that needs practice with it, is to sit and be quiet and try to listen. What are you giving me? What are you giving me? Instead of me giving you, me putting it out there, me blah, 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 what are you giving me?
You're allowing. That's grace right there. The art of allowing and bringing in God's love and to lift you up. And because I think everybody, if you say like, what do you really want? Deep down, we want to be happy. Who doesn't want to be happy? I want to be at peace. Okay. I want to be supported and feel loved and respected. You know what? You can't go to the store and buy that. So what starts happening is what becomes more important to you is not the external, it's tapping inside. And like you say, if you're praying, that's great. But are you just saying the words, or you're saying it and now you're allowing, you're bringing it in. And, that's why the guided meditation, or, somebody, you could even go to YouTube and listen to these things and different ways of just taking it, being out in nature. That's everything God created. And just sit there and enjoy the view. Like, once you start really understanding what is the most powerful thing in order for you to be very healthy while you're here and have a good life, you're not going to want to go back to the other stuff. You're really going to take time to do it. It's like my goal in life is, how do I find the words? How do I explain that to people? And your words.
Yes.
I want to say something to that, because there was a thought that made me really sad that I'll admit it loud right now. So I'm in this prayer and I'm doing this and thinking and this thought kind of went through me, and we've talked about it before. Just, if you've been brought up in chaos, that's what you're used to. If you've been in a marriage of certain kind of chaos, that's what you're used to. And so it takes time to recognize a new normal, right? And there was a part of me just thinking about, my life right now, which in all honesty, I mean, I have some stresses with my actual job, that helps me continue with Hopeful Hearts, right? Or we have things at home, that make us crazy, but I'm nowhere near all the things that I had been through in my past, like that chaotic, oh my gosh, flooding or cancer or divorce or all this stuff. And I, for a brief moment, thought I would almost welcome in a tragedy or something, because I know best how to handle that. I know it's horrible.
I know.
It's horrible to say it out loud, but it was a brief moment of me thinking, because then I know exactly where I need to be, exactly what I need to do, because I'm focused on, I have to be here for that person or do that. I hope this is making sense to somebody listening.
No, it does.
Out there. But the minute that I thought
in your toolbox that you can utilize to get through anything that you need to go through. You have the clarity.
Right. And I knew that it was, the minute I thought it, I thought, how horribly sad that I can't sit here instead and say, oh my gosh, God, thank you that I am not in a situation of total extreme trauma or chaos in my life.
Just chaos. That brings me to gratitude. That is a gift. That attitude of gratitude will always be the gift that keeps on giving, and God loves gratitude.
Yes.
Always. So I always say flip the switch. So from looking at your perspective to say, I would never invite a tragedy. Are you kidding me? No, I'm happy because I have the tools that I have in my toolbox, right here, that no matter what comes my way, I'm a capable person and I can handle it. We are totally adequate for all situations. Thank you. It gives me goosebumps. Seriously, they're
Right.
you know, like they're epiphanies, like, and that's why forgiveness is so important too. And we talk about that because do you want to go through your whole life being, you know, mad or angry or like all these low vibrations that are making us sick? Because just as surely as the positive thoughts can heal, negative ones can make you sick. So like, what do you really want? So that's why, again, it's like, you'll never forget about it, but you can forgive it or him or her or it, the situation, because it's going to set you free. People are like, why are you such a positive thing? I'm like, think about the alternative. Hello. You know, I'd rather be thriving instead of just surviving. We don't have to be survivors. We are thrivers. And we're here to lift each other up. You know what I mean? But it really has to start with you, because I mean, I have certain clients or whatever. I mean, I may as well talk to the wall. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, so, you know, you're coming here for a session and everything lands in the body, in this physical, right? Because remember, the thought created that feeling. So let's get to the root of the problem. What's really going on here? Yeah, you might have a sore shoulder or, you know, pain in your heart. What's going on with the pain in your heart? Beyond the physical, let's go behind the scenes and unravel it, because I think clarity is beautiful. When you understand it, then you go, wow, but now I got to practice it.
Yes.
That's the key. That's the secret. You know, where
That's
you're firing and wiring, creating new pathways in the brain so that the genes regulate into like what used to be the program. It's like, for example, just to say, when I get to my car, I'm not going to go, oh my goodness, I better remember to put my seatbelt on. No, I automatically do it. Think about all of the things that you automatically do. And now you're being asked to make a change. You've got to think about.
And think about how you talk about that with the seatbelt, and think about like when we were kids, that wasn't a thing. Like nobody wore seatbelts when we were a kid.
Right.
Somewhere along the lines that someone decided everybody has to wear a seatbelt. And I'm sure everybody was like, you know, can't believe we have to wear these things. And, you know, remember when cars had the thing where it was like they automatically did the seatbelt for you? Do you remember those cars where it was like,
I got all caught up in one. It got my
like automatically put the seatbelt on for you, and it would like choke you to death. But now, like nobody even, like for my kids, they wouldn't even fathom getting in a car without a seatbelt. Like that would never even cross their mind. You know, it's just something that.
And what's the first thing they do in the morning? Yeah. What's the first thing that you do in the morning, most people?
Brush your teeth.
Pee or brush your teeth?
But, you know, they, well, they'll go to the phone. They'll go to their phone first thing.
Go to their phone.
They might even take the phone to take a pee.
I know that's a habit.
You know what I mean? So what if you took a minute or 10 minutes? Like I'll hit my alarm on snooze. So I've got 10 minutes, and that's where I manifest my day. With Creator. And it's and I start with gratitude. So you're already on a good track there. So boom, you know what? You don't know what the external is and you can't control it, but that's the problem with a lot of these things that causes disease, is that we're trying to control the external. And the only thing that you can control is how you choose to feel about anything that's external. So at nighttime, before you go to bed, you'll say your prayers and your gratitude, you thank you, thank you, thank you. You want to marinate in that all night long. And the forgiveness prayer, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you, is such a good one too, just to release anything that, whether you have said something or done something, or somebody said or did something to you, and you're clear. And that's it, highest vibration, love, God. It's simple, but we got to practice it.
We do.
You know, because back in the day when I was just teaching, aerobics and step aerobics and fitness classes and all this and that, I saw a lot of people that were working out at the gym every day. Didn't mean they were healthy, and it didn't even mean they were happy. Most of them were doing too much, and it was all or nothing. And I'm like, doesn't mean you're mentally fit. And with everything coming at us, you know, like talk about the pandemic and you know, inflation and like we're always dodging. You know, it seems like a bullet here, there, and there. Everybody needs to know this stuff. because
Yes.
everything is changing, but we're sticking, like we were saying, to our outdated belief systems. Well, my
Yes.
mother taught me that, or I learned that at school, or I learned that, da, da, da. I'm like, yeah, well, how's that working for you now? How do you feel?
I just finished watching that
I'm
show
anxious.
on Apple TV. There was a show,
Mhm.
there were 3 seasons and it just released the last episode. It's called Physical, and it stars Rose Byrne, and it's about the aerobics craze in the early 80s. It was an
Mm.
excellent show because she has an eating disorder, and she learns aerobics, but she has this terrible self-talk, and it's the whole
Mm.
program is about um just the idea that she's very, very thin and appears very healthy, and she builds this big business on teaching women to be physically fit, and she's talking the talk, but she has this horrible, horrible self talk, and her life is a mess behind
Wow.
doors because of this
Yeah.
terrible self-talk. And there's a whole lot to it. It's an
Mhm.
excellent show, but it's the perfect example of that.
Mm.
Just how
Well, they're wearing the
the
mask.
the, the
She's
thought
wearing the
process,
mask,
yeah, and what it's
yeah,
like to wear that mask, and it's great. It was a
yeah.
great show, but
Which
not for children,
which
but
is a great, right? But
yeah.
it reminds me of being authentic and being your true
Yes.
self. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, that's such a good example of, somebody living behind the curtain or behind the mask.
Yeah.
When you take that off, and that's one thing I absolutely love about Shannon, is you are the most authentic, raw person I probably have ever met in my life. And I love that. That is so refreshing.
Oh,
Oscar Wilde said, be
not
yourself.
always great.
Everyone else is taken. No, we're like,
Yep.
we want to be like, like somebody else, but I'm like, well, you're never going to be that person.
Oh,
You are a unique, radiant
right.
light of love, God's love. Let it shine, honey. And then
Yeah.
it's
Well,
like,
thanks.
wow, I have permission to be myself today.
Yeah.
I appreciate those kind words. I really do. I think that, and y'all all know that I tend to have negative self-talk, and I speak it out, and then I recognize it and I try to change it. But I think one reason why I've decided to be just so blatantly out in the open and upfront about everything is because I don't ever, and this comes from my very earliest abuse, is I don't ever want to be considered a liar. I don't want to ever be considered like, inauthentic, right? I mean, that's just that, and that comes from that, because nope, you believe me, right? And but on the other hand, I think we always want, well, maybe not everybody feels this way, but this is how I feel. Like, I always want for others maybe what I don't feel like I can grab for myself, right? So I always want to look at other people and see their beauty and see their talents and see their gifts, and have them recognize that for themselves, that's my biggest desire. And I feel that with all three of us. That's obviously why we do what we do and why we've been doing it for so long. Is there, every person is different. And I want to just touch real quick on what you said. We're all individuals. So I wouldn't even want somebody to try to be me, because it's not, like I said, it's not all peaches and cream.
Right.
Oh,
That's right.
I mean, I have
peaks and valleys.
Yeah,
exactly.
Peaks and valleys,
I'm
baby.
not always the nicest, and I recognize that. Like, I have two things to say. I want to say this. This is a stupid example, but I want to say it because maybe it'll cause other people to recognize this. I went to Walgreens a couple weeks ago. However many weeks ago, I had COVID. We were coming off of it. Then my husband got sick, so we were all going through all this stuff, right? So I was COVID free by the time I walked into this particular pharmacy, and I had my husband's billfold, and I forgot that my driver's license actually was in his billfold, in his wallet. And he had it from the night before when I didn't want to carry my purse, but I needed my driver's license. But anyway, so I go up, I want to get, by the way, I am toting this. Advil cold and sinus, you can only get it behind the counter at the pharmacy, but
Yeah.
it does work wonders. And so I was wanting to buy that. And she said, I need your driver's license. And I was like, and take in mind, I'm still kind of sick. I've got a sick husband. I'm like just wanting to go home. And I just waited in line for like 10 minutes. And I was like, are you kidding me? I said, here's his license, forgetting that mine was in there, right? But here's his license.
Jeez.
And she was like, no, I need yours. And I cussed, because y'all know me, I love Jesus, but I cuss a little bit. I cussed and I was like, you know what? I went, F you, but not necessarily to her, but just like a, God, you know?
Yeah.
And I turned around
Frustration.
and there was somebody else standing there. And I was like, you know, and I walk off, get in the car. We start driving away. I'm like, oh, I'm just so mad because I don't want to have to get back out again and blah, blah, blah. He opened up his phone, pulled out my driver's license. I was like, are you kidding me? I had my driver's license that whole time. But I was so mad at myself in that moment when I walked away, though. I was so mad at myself for even having reacted that way. Like, that is not me. Yeah. That really is not me. It was. I did it, but
You
it
were
wasn't
being very
me.
Back in
reactive.
with your driver's license
Right.
and handed them a Hopeful Hearts business card.
No, I did not. But I did call. I called that afternoon and asked to speak with that girl.
Yeah.
And she got on the phone and I said, I just need to apologize to you. I am the girl that was in today that cussed, and it seemingly cussed at you, but I promise I wasn't necessarily meaning to.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh my gosh. She goes, oh, I get much worse than that. And I said, you know what? And I'm sure that you do. And I apologize for all those people. It is about, people are sick or they have sick loved one, it's just not, I'm sure it's not a really great place to be at times. And you didn't deserve that. And I certainly didn't mean to set off bad energy for your day or for you to have a bad day because I did that. And I just want to tell you, I really am sorry. She was like, I've never had anybody call and say that. Thank you so much. I go, please do not thank me. It was, I just want you to have a great day. God bless you and go on. And anyway, yeah. And then the last thing I'm going to say, I'm sorry, I don't want to take up all your time, Lynn, but I was at a conference this weekend for my company, and we get to listen, and we're a Christian, we're a Catholic company. We do Catholic magazines. And so it's very much about God and God's plan in our life and all of that, because we're spreading the word. We're trying to get, the word into people's homes. And it's very much in line with what I do. And what I love is that then I got to be around other people that kind of needed me for Hopeful Hearts. And they definitely encouraged me to be who I am with Hopeful Hearts and to talk about that as well. But there was some of the talks, there's people that are achieving great things, right? And we get to hear about how they do that or how they accomplish it. And I always joke, like, I wish I could be like him, or I wish I could be like her.
Right.
And then when I did my talks, if they always have me do more of the inspirational, obviously, I guess, because this is what I do actually as a whole. And I was like, you know what, don't compare yourself to others. So if you're listening, and like Lynn just said something amazing about me, but I would love to be like Lynn and be able to, she really is truly positive, like all the time. And I can't say I'm like that all the time. Right. Or, Tamara, and, first and foremost, like it was even talked about this weekend, Tracy made comment of just how beautiful she is and how beautiful she puts herself together. And just the things just that comforting nature. You're so beautiful, even with pink eye. Yeah. If y'all are watching YouTube, you understand, but if you're not, then go find us on YouTube. You can see me and my weird hairdo and Tamara's glasses and pink eye. But
nice.
Yeah, but my whole point is that there should never be a comparison, because what I love, God, and I think it's Isaiah, I want to say, and I'm horrible at remembering exact Bible verses, but we're wonderfully made in his image, but each individually wonderfully made. And so it's about, and that's really what Lynn goes through in the classes that she does for us and that she does for people individually, is finding that uniqueness of who we are and tapping into that and learning to love that and embrace it and thrive with that. And I think that is what is so important and so beautiful for each of us to, and we talk about it a lot on this podcast, but to love ourselves, to be kind to ourselves, to embrace who we are, and to say, I do love that. And it's okay to say, I do love that about myself,
Yes.
or I do
And
feel like I
people
have
think-
this gift or talent.
I
Yeah.
think sometimes we were taught that if we love ourselves, that's being selfish and greedy, where it's not, okay? There's a difference between self-love is, to me, self-care. How do you nurture that sacred spark that the body, as I view as a temple, is housing our sacred spark? And like you said, Shannon, each and every one of us is unique and radiant. And the more you align yourself in your truth, the lighter you're going to be. Like, people are like, what's with you? Like, are you glowing? I'm like, yeah, I've got so much love. I'm so happy right now. And I just want to share that. And that's it. And every single day, regardless, but it's taken a while. Like, I found my voice. And it was like, you know what, coming back to what we said earlier, loving ourselves enough to set boundaries, loving ourselves to look in the mirror and say, you know what, I love you. And I'd say, okay, this client, it's time to do the mirror work. Louise Hay used to stick a little mirror in her bra or something, and you're beautiful, you're this. She'd pull out the mirror, every time you pass the mirror. Actually really look at yourself and say, you know what, I love you. Like, you're okay. It feels really weird at first, but guess what? That's what change is, okay? I'm left-handed. If I start to write with my right hand, it's gonna feel weird, right? Is it a bad thing? No, it's different. So when you decide to get up on the other side of the bed in the morning, or take a different way to work, or whatever it is you're doing differently, it's gonna be weird. But we're taught to fear the unknown. And I always go, what's fear? False, evidence appearing real. I mean, if you look at the opposites, because we live on a planet of duality, the sun and the moon, the yin and the yang, the right brain, the left brain, so on, nervous system, fight or flight, or the rest and digest. When you start learning that those things matter to you, and that you're taking charge of that self-care, and it's going to feel so good, that's organic. You won't need a pill for that. Okay, but you've got to start practicing it, and that you're worth it. Because again, while you're passing through here, you have a gift. You are on purpose. And if you didn't have any challenges, I wouldn't be where I am today. Okay, and your whole life is a series. What did they say in the Course in Miracles? Life is a series of course corrections. That's what change is. If it's not going your way and you're miserable, then guess what? You got to get up. You got to do something different. Okay, I don't care what it is. You want to do some jumping jacks, but just stop and observe how you feel. Oh, you're ready? Now proceed. Because the way that I look at it here, when I was, quick story here, I'm at my daughter's in San Marcos. We're doing this puzzle. She's a puzzle whiz. And I'm like, how could she do it so fast? Every single piece was different. It's like probably 1,000 pieces. The solar system, beautiful. We get one piece is missing. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I knew exactly the shape of that one piece is missing, okay? 2 days later, we're in Austin at her girlfriend's house. And the room I'm staying on, I look at the carpet. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It was flipped over, so it's the beige matching with the carpet. But I thought, that's the piece of, and I had this huge epiphany. I went, God created us, and we're all in this together, and we're all unique, and we all fit in. Okay, everybody fits in that big puzzle. Now, let's say somebody didn't get that memo, and they don't know we're loved, and they don't know how to treat people, including themselves. Okay, you can still love them. You can say, like, have a nice day, because you meant it, but you don't have to say, how are you, because maybe you don't care. Or, maybe you can love them from a distance. And that's what setting boundaries is all about. Learning to love yourself. How does that person make me feel? I'm not going to go, I might not go, well, you did. I might own my story and go, I feel this way when I'm around you. And I don't have an argument. I'm actually non-confrontational. Maybe you would know that. But I don't like, sometimes I have no words, like especially when it comes to my own personal life, like to say how I feel. Well, guess what? I'm starting to acknowledge how people make me feel. Okay, so that I can say, no, not today for that one, or, whatever it is, like, no, thank you. And you know what? You
Mhm.
don't have to make an excuse why you say no. No means no.
That's right.
And the people that get it and respect you will appreciate that. And you're going to learn to go, wow, like I have a voice, and that is so freeing. Because who wants to be in a cage? No matter how pretty your cage is, whether you're caged in the relationship, whether you're caged into an unhealthy body or a job that you hate. You could pray all day, but if you're dreading going to work because of a coworker or your boss, you might want to do something about it, because your
Yeah.
body does not care. It's just going with that feeling, and that's what's making you sick.
Yes. Amen.
Yeah. Something to think about.
I
It's
think
true.
I'm glad that you were talking about self-care, because I do, I think maybe
know.
younger generations are maybe knowing it a bit too much, but maybe a little bit too much self-care. But
Yeah.
it's our generation that, it's the Gen X's, the boomers, even maybe the millennials, that, just that thought of self-care, equals, what's that word? I'm losing the word. Being selfish. Thank you. Is selfishness, right? Instead of self-caring.
Right.
And in reality, if we're not self-caring enough of the way Lynn's explaining, like mentally, or what did you say? Rest and what did you
Rest
say?
and digest is the
rest and
parasympathetic
digest
that balances out the fight or flight, and most of us are in fight or flight, which dumps cortisol into the body,
right?
Which weighs us down in more ways than one.
Yeah.
But
So I mean, it is needed. It's
balance.
needed to be right, balance, and to be who you're meant to be. And in all honesty, by getting that right amount of self-care and resting and digesting and restoring and all those great things, mentally, physically, emotionally, then you are a better person for all those that need you and, are around you, right? It's just,
yes,
for sure.
There's a really nice quote by Rumi: who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. Once you start turning inward and connecting straight to the source, it is a game changer. And that's again, meditation, prayer, different things that you can do, breathing techniques, being one with God.
Yeah.
One with truth and love. And then those are just little too, because if you don't love yourself, how are you going to love and be able to give love? Like there's no capacity there. And if you feel like this is my vehicle, a car, I'm not going anywhere without this body, you got to give it some gasoline, honey. Because no matter how beautiful people want to, we're trained to like pretty. We like pretty things. We like beauty things. But meanwhile, like again, behind the mask, you're a hot mess. Coming back to what you were talking about, the girl that with the aerobics and stuff like that. So that's the whole premise of that, is that learning to love ourselves inside is, and then the external will all come together. You know what I mean? But yeah, you got a body. You got to fine tune your body. That's what I love about yoga, is because you are yoking to the sum of all your parts, where God gave you a mind, a body, emotions, and a spirit, and you're connecting all that. That's not the same as exercise. That's the connection and being the highest version of ourselves, and everything comes through God. Like that's
beautiful.
I want to address something, and if Tamara wants to say something in regards to this too. I know that in the 12 years that I've been doing Hopeful Hearts, I've had a few come against me because of the healing yoga and are we going with the Eastern rite? I don't even know what, that's how bad it is that I don't even know like what rite it is, because I know that that's not what we do.
No, that's not what we do
at all.
Yeah,
it's not what we do. And yeah, I wanted to say that out loud just for this podcast. If anybody listening, if you happen, if it hit you the wrong way, why do they have healing yoga? We have healing yoga just exactly because of what Lynn is saying now, and connecting with God, but it is about our physical body and being able to, there is something said to being able to stretch and come to a place of, it's like a healing physical practice of coming into that
Mhm.
silence even
Yeah.
and with the breathing as you do it and just having that connection. I mean,
In the
I just
now,
wanted to
in the
say that
now,
out
because
loud.
that's when the transformation takes place, is in the now. And again, if you're
Mhm.
not in love with the vision of your future, you're stuck with the memory of your past. And most people
That's
are
right.
living in their past. And again, expecting, what's the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over
And the
again.
same thing over and over.
Expecting a different result. And it's never going to be that way. So you're never truly going to be happy, in my mind, if you're not being able to be yourself and learn how to love yourself, so you can learn how to love and share with others too. We all want the same thing, to love
Mhm.
and be loved. So if you're not feeling that, because there's so much mental health like disease now, it's that we got to
Mhm.
get a grip, people. And I say, just stop that and let's start right now.
Yes.
One, like, I am enough. Whoa, can you imagine that? How powerful is that? I am that I am.
Right. It's beautiful. It's
Say it,
beautiful.
mean it, and believe it. So if you're setting an intention, what you want your future to be, you got to start now.
Mhm.
Because again, how do you predict your future? You're creating it. You're co-creating with God. So why don't you use the highest vibration, the most beautiful affirmations? Again, saying it, meaning it, and lifting it, because your cells don't know the difference. And if you're talking about something that happened in the past, or you're fearing the future, guess what? Your body's living it like it's in the now.
Yes.
All the bells and fire and wiring going on together. That's how it works.
I've always believed that God has created us with a hole inside of us that is a God-sized hole, that we were created to worship and adore him, and we are created to praise him, and that if we don't look to him for that peace and that guidance in our life, that we will look to something else. So if we're not looking to connect with God, we're going to look we're going to look to the internet. We're going to look to, to the bigger house. We're going to look to the fancier clothes. We're going to look to,
Addictions.
addiction. We're going to look to addiction in
Yeah.
something. We're going to try to find joy in something else.
The
But
external.
when we will never get filled up with the other things. So I have found, just for myself, when I find gratitude and joy in the things that God has given me, like you said, if I go out in nature and I say, oh my gosh, God, thank you for this beautiful sunrise today. Oh, God, thank you for that flower. God, thank you for this wind today. Thank you, God, for the trash man that just picked up my trash. God, thank you. Because we
100%.
can get in the habit of going, okay, God, thank you for my family. Thank you for my food. Amen. Which, great. Let's all be thankful for our family and our food. Yes, let's do.
Absolutely.
But when we start looking for things to be grateful for, then we start noticing more things to be grateful for. And when we notice more things to be grateful for, then we more things come up. So it's like we attract more things, so that joy attraction is really there. I've noticed that to be true. When you were talking about that attraction there, I've seen that to be true in my own life. And so that joy and that happiness, it really does happen. Like when you start practicing that,
they're proving it now.
It manifests in your life.
Yeah. They're able to measure the vibration, the frequency on thoughts and feelings, and how it's either going to give you life or take it away. Period.
That is so amazing to me. That is so amazing.
And again, as I was saying, that's why addictions are so prevalent. We're looking on the external to save us or set us free. Well, it's inside of us, and that all-knowingness. That God is everywhere,
so cool.
anytime. And like, let's say you wake up in the middle of the night and you start worrying about XYZ, is what I call it, because it's all XYZ. Not what's happening to you, it's how you're dealing with it. I start with gratitude. or I might do a 5-2-7 breath, you know, and then all of a sudden, rest and digest.
Yeah.
Okay. And you have different states of brain waves too, you know, from the beta to the alpha to the delta to the theta. So, you know, the arousal states, well, when you're all stressed out, okay, for whatever reason, and again, people are addicted to these stress hormones, you're in high arousal. There's no time to heal there. There's no time to create there. You're being chased by a lion, but no, you're not. But you're acting like you are.
Yeah.
And that's where the prayer, the
good.
meditation, the breathing techniques, the yoking brings you to this moment. Yeah.
Lynn, I want to thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being with us today. We are so grateful for this hour that you've given us. And we want to thank you for just being a part of Hopeful Hearts Ministry and for the Just Breathe classes and the healing yoga classes that you do with us. Those classes, folks, Lynn, you want to remind everybody when those classes are offered?
Sure. And thank you. I'm honored to be a part of you. Okay. Infinite love and gratitude. I'm just so grateful. Thank you. Thank you both so much. I'm
Absolutely
happy to be here. Yes. And we're just going to keep doing it because we're messengers, right?
Yes.
But in the meantime, we're taking care of ourselves. We're leading by example, right, ladies?
That's right.
That's right.
So tonight, so typically we do two classes. The Just Breathe is typically on the first Monday of every month. So tonight we do have our Just Breathe class, which goes from 6:30 till about 8 o'clock. Not gonna lie. Try to get them out by 7:45, but you know, sometimes people want to have a little chat or talk about whatnot. So the first Monday of every month is the Just Breathe, 6:30 p.m. Kingwood Community Center. Okay. And then the third Monday is the healing yoga. That's where you bring your mats if you have one. If not, I can supply the mats and so on and so forth. So that's usually the third Monday, same place, Kingwood Community Center, same time, 6:30 at night p.m. And so the Just Breathe tonight, you just come dress comfortably. I mean, just come as you are. We're seated in chairs, or we might do a little bit of standing. Again, no experience necessary. And it's like, again, it's not just the survivors of abuse. It's all of us. Like we're you know, it's not just this group, it's everybody on the planet has a mind and a body and emotions. And we need to regulate those things so that we can't be the best versions of ourselves to help others.
That's right.
We offer it for free for everybody. So
that's right. These classes are free for anybody. Free for anybody.
And we've got a retreat coming up too, right?
That's right. We still have one spot open for our Hopeful Hearts fall retreat, first weekend in November. So you can contact us. You can go to our website, hopefulheartsministry.org, to check that out. You can email me, Tamara, at hopefulheartsministry.org, to get more information about that. I hope that you have enjoyed this podcast today. If you have enjoyed this, or if you learned something about this, please give us a like and share it with someone else that you would like to have them learn and listen, because that helps our algorithm here. And I don't understand algorithms, but I know that if you give us a like, or if you will follow us and share, whether that's on YouTube or on Apple Podcast or on Spotify, that helps us get more visibility or hearability out there, and allows more people to find us and hear us. So we are so grateful for you, listeners and watchers. Lynn, you've got something else?
Lynn, are you wanting to share do you have a website or
Sure, but I wanted to end with a quote as well by Dr. Wayne Dyer, and he's, you know, definitely, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. So what lens are you looking through when you change the way you look at things? Okay. And I want to say this, you're not climbing the highest mountain. You're just taking the next step into the unknown. And there's faith versus fear. You will always be divinely guided and supported. And give thanks for that. If you want to get to me, You can check my website at www.healthandwellnesswithlynn.com. So healthandwellnesswithlynn.com. And you can also email me, healthandwellnesswithlynn@gmail.com. And of course, we can always go through Hopeful Hearts as well. Hope to see you
Great.
tonight for the Just Breathe.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so
All
much,
right.
Lynn.
Fantastic.
Thank
Great.
you. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you, Lynn.
All right. Bye-bye.
You're
Bye.
welcome. Thank you.